studio by Sian Nkhahle, the Executive Director of Municipal Finance at SALGA. Thanks for joining us, Sian.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Now, as SALGA, what is your stance on Eskom's plans to cut bulk electricity to these 20 municipalities?
Well, first and foremost, we empathize with Eskom. They are a national asset that is facing some significant challenges, in fact, in some instances through not their own doing, through actions or non-actions by others outside of Eskom. Municipalities themselves are faced with that same situation. They deliver services, are not paid for them, and are unable to continue to fulfill their constitutional mandates as well. So Eskom and SALGA and municipalities are in more or less the same situation. We do believe that this intervention is, however, highly inappropriate and will have some dire unintended consequences.
Now, speaking of unintended consequences, how realistic is Eskom's plan just with regards to these individual households who pay their bills but now face the risk of being in the dark?
Yeah, that's a real challenge, Tavile, in that when Eskom does cut to municipality, they cut wholesale. Yeah. So there are unfortunately some people who would have been paying their services quite religiously and will unfortunately be affected by that. The reality of the matter is that those who are either not paying or compromising the financial revenue by either stealing electricity, by electricity cable theft and other measures that are compromising this revenue, unfortunately, are then going to have these consequences on those who are paying quite well.
Now, we understand that when National Treasury announced plans to freeze funds to 60 municipalities, SALGA objected, saying that this would hurt the poor. Now, take us through the objective of the equitable share.
The equitable share is a financial mechanism designed in the country's financial and fiscal system, designed to provide a share of the national revenue collected through tax in the main to be allocated to various spheres of government, including municipalities. And at the municipal level, it is directed at providing services to, in the main, the poorest of the poor, to provide those basic services such as water, electricity, waste removal, etc. Withholding the equitable share is going to compromise, we believe, the poorest of the poor in those places where they reside.
Now, why has Eskom chosen to ignore discussions between SALGA, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, as well as National Treasury? Are they not aware of these discussions?
They are certainly aware, because as part of the engagements that we are having with National Treasury and with COGTA, we're also engaging with Eskom itself. Part of those engagements include a memorandum of understanding that was signed between SALGA and Eskom in September last year, 2014, precisely because we both acknowledge the challenges that Eskom is facing, and we are intending to jointly find means of addressing the woes that Eskom is now finding itself in. We believe that it is a desperate attempt to address a very real challenge to ensure that Eskom continues as a going concern. As I indicated, we do empathize. I mean, they are really in financial trouble. We all, as a country, local government, national government, communities, business, and everybody needs to put their hands on deck to address the challenges that Eskom is facing. We believe that, however, blaming and putting the responsibility solely at the foot of municipalities is a bit problematic and will have these unintended consequences that I made reference to.
Now, as SALGA, what are the practical steps that you're going to take to protect consumers and to ensure that the lights don't go out?
Yeah. Firstly is to continue with the intergovernmental cooperation discussions that we are currently in. We are in discussion with the Minister for Finance, also the Minister of Cooperative Governance, and with Eskom itself, to find ways of finding each other. Right? Okay. So that is one of the key elements. We've been in that discussion since the time that we signed this agreement. Secondly is we have encouraged municipalities to implement aggressively their credit control mechanisms. that means that they must collect what is due to them. In the same way as Eskom is collecting from municipalities, local government must collect. Just as an example, government departments alone owe municipalities in excess of 5 billion.
Yes.
Now, if all we do is to get the government departments to pay what is due to municipalities, that 3 billion odd would be immediately paid. But over and above that, municipalities are owed 96 billion. Now, at a scale, if you compare the 3 billion that municipalities owe to Eskom and the 96 billion that is owed to municipalities, if we all work together towards ensuring that that 96 billion is collected, we would be able to pay Eskom in a blink, as well as all other creditors that we owe.
Now, Sienna, we're running out of time, but I want to shift focus now. SALGA is currently at the center of wage negotiations with unions. How's the negotiations panning out?
Well, they are, as always, quite tricky. We are very far apart as the sector and the unions. I think they are requesting about 15%, and we are. And
where do you stand?
And we are at about 5%.
Where are you going to reach a middle point? Where's this going?
We must. And what we have argued is that under the current economic climate, which the President, the Minister of Finance, and many other commentators have indicated, any increase above inflation is going to be highly unaffordable. Yeah. This happening in the context of these financial challenges that we're talking about within municipalities, it's just not going to happen. And
unions are threatening labor action. Are we likely to see new developments when the two parties meet in 2 weeks' time?
We are hoping that we will not go that route. I think the unions themselves have also indicated that labor action is always a measure of last resort. I'm quite confident that we'll be able to find one another and avoid any kind of service disruptions.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us on the News at 8.
Thank you very much.